done hiding myself. J'avais une pierre et toute mon eau qu'elle contenait. Mon beau galet, il y a des années, on m'a dit qu'il fallait l'abandonner. Mon beau galet, les cloches, les veilles, la fenêtre, le soleil. J'ai fini de me cacher. Dans l'église où elle chantait, ma poitrine s'est brisée. Mon beau galet est là, parmi la terre et les racines. J'ai retrouvé mon beau galet. Les cloches, les veilles, la fenêtre, le soleil. J'ai fini, j'ai fini, j'ai fini de me cacher.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you very much. Goedemorgen, ik zal het maar in Nederlands doen, maar ik zal het wel vertalen. I'll translate. My name is Henk Wolst, welcome. And today I have the honor of being your service leader. Welcome to our fellowship. To you here and to those watching, we extend to you all a warm welcome to this fellowship of Unitarian Universalists. Caring, compassionate, decent, and loving people who care about their fellowship within these walls and their fellowship within the broader communities outside these walls, Door County, the nation, and the world. Please join me now in reading from your order of service a communal welcome, one in which we can all together welcome each other together. Words are by Jan Smith. Welcome. Welcome to this table. Whatever path has brought you here, whatever load you carry, let us rest a while together. May our hearts be open to accept what comes to us as a stranger. May our minds be open to wonder at what we do not understand. And may our spirits be nourished by our time together before we again take up our loads and set off upon our many paths. Welcome. It's our custom here at UUFCC to invite visitors, whether it's the first time here or the first time in quite a long while, to stand and to introduce themselves if they're willing, and perhaps tell us whence they came and share with us how they came to be here today. And so we invite those visitors, as we do everyone, then subsequently to join us in the gathering room for a coffee, tea, light snacks conversation. Following about 15 or 20 minutes in the gathering room, we adjourn to come back here, prompted by the sound of the chimes, for what we call our talk back, which gives us about 15, 20, 25 minutes to talk with our guest speaker and to interact, ask questions, make comments, whatever the case may be. Back to the guests who might never have been here or who might be here for the first time in a long time, let me invite you to stand, and then perhaps I'll recognize you. Not perhaps, I will recognize you. And you can tell us a little bit more about yourself, please.
I'm Amy Kell. I'm from Madison, and First Unitarian Society is my church. And I'm up here visiting you all, and so when I saw that you had a church here, I really wanted to be here on Sunday.
We're delighted you chose to be here.
I'm Katie Dahl, and this is my son Guthrie. And Guthrie is maybe first time at the UU, and I may not stay afterward for the gathering, so I wanted to say hi to everyone.
Right. And he's a doll too.
Yeah.
My name's Ted Heller. This is my wife Beth. I am the brother of Bo Heller, who's a friend up here. They have a place in Door County, and we certainly enjoy visiting Door County. We are from Richmond, Virginia.
Welcome. Welcome. Yes.
Kevin Scattery-Kepper here with Ezra and Mitra and Lindsay visiting in-laws, Kirk and Donna from Seattle.
Wonderful. Delighted you're here.
Kirk and Donna, we're actually from Sister Bay. We have attended here before, but it's been quite some time.
Welcome back. Please.
My name is Eric Wise. I'm the son of Jane and Carl Wise. I'm visiting them from Oak Park, Illinois. I've been here before, but it's been a long time. And I'm a member of the Unity Temple UU congregation.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Jamie.
Hi, I'm Jamie Henry, member of this congregation, and so, as you know, so many people watch us on YouTube, and I would like to invite those people who would like to introduce themselves through me, let us know who you are, and have a shout out to please contact Sarah or me, and we will do so. And hello, everybody. Welcome to you all who are visiting on YouTube.
Great. Thank you for doing that. Anyone else? Please. Chris?
Chris Weinbacher. Many of you recognize me, and I apologize for being away so long. I've been like a Jew wandering out in the desert. But it's wonderful to be back and see familiar faces and new faces, too. It's very good. Thank you.
Glad you're here. Welcome back. This is a time we allot for announcements. And now there are some announcements on the back of your order of service. I won't read those, but I do invite those who have announcements to please share them with us, and the microphone will find you. Cindy's carrying the microphone. So are there any announcements that folks want to share with us today that are of relevance to our fellowship and the world around us?
Hi, I'm Jane Wise. Just want to give you an update on the food pantry. You brought great food last week. I took it all on Tuesday. We are spending your funds for food for Ensure and butter and cooking oil. So I took 32 cans of Ensure, 16 sticks of butter, and all your goods, and they were gone by Friday morning when I checked. So you're doing a good thing. People are using it. It's needed, and I thank you very much for continuing to contribute. Thank you.
I think there was also an announcement in the Pulse the other day that there's a new food pantry just opened up in Sturgeon Bay. I think it's our 10th one. Is it Bayview? Okay, yeah. But there is a new one in any case, yeah. Which I,
Certain hours of the day.
yeah, but speaks to the need in the community. Jamie?
Hi, Jamie Hanreddy again. I just want to point out that our Coffee and Conversation, the second one this month, will be this coming Thursday. I would like to encourage all the gentlemen to come, as well as the gentle ladies. And topic of your choice. You're not going to get stuck with some touchy-feely thing that you don't want to talk about. We can talk about anything from golf to baseball if you like. It's very loose, and it's just a time to really get to know each other better. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Cindy. You know, I was walking my dog Winnie through the woods this morning. I'm diverting a little bit from my scripted remarks here. And it just made me think, Thanksgiving is about 3 months away, but why can't we be feeling that spirit of Thanksgiving any day of the year? And so this morning I was just thinking back over the last several days and thinking about all the things that I have to be thankful for, just the events of the last several days. On Thursday night, we went to Northern Sky Theater, first time this year. We saw a little production called Dairy Airs. It was wonderful. There have been some plays, with all due respect, Katie, that I have not cared for. There are some I really like. Victory Farm is one of them. But Dairy Airs was great. Because I challenge you, how can you not like a play, one of whose lines is, there was an explosion in the cheese factory, debris was everywhere. But it was fun. It was fun. And then, was it yesterday or the day before, we went to a life celebration for a man we knew reasonably well, Dick Egan, who was a great contributor to the community in so many ways, but most notably in the Door Community Foundation. And we're glad and lucky and fortunate to have had him. And then yesterday, we went to the Peninsula Music Festival, and basically we're witness to the monumental, momentous, moving, magical, mystical music of Mahler. I mean, it was incredible. Nothing else to be said. So I guess I'm just thankful that we live in this wonderful county and can enjoy all the wonderful topography and can basically go from bay to shining lake, to paraphrase those words. And it's just nice to be here. It's nice to be here. And I'm thankful as well for our guest speaker today, Martha Marvel. Martha, we're delighted to have you, who will discuss transgender journeys, bridging facts, faith, and society. Martha is a respected local community leader in northeastern Wisconsin, a retired service provider, and a passionate advocate for transgender rights and inclusion. She's the founder and president of the Green Bay Area Council of Gender Diversity, an organization dedicated to providing support, education, and advocacy for transgender individuals, their families, and allies. Quote, I spent 40 years of my life in search of a cure, Martha shared in a poignant moment, but I know now in my heart of hearts and affirmed by the science of our world that I am naturally an expression of God's creation. Martha, we are all brothers and sisters, and we welcome you.
Thank you.
I've asked Joe Grayboys to light the chalice, and after a few moments of instruction, I think he's up to it, right, Joe?
You watch it all the time, you don't know how to.
And as that chalice is lit, I'm going to read the words of that great American philosopher, Dolly Parton. I've had to go against all kinds of people through the years just to be myself. I think everybody should be allowed to be who they are and to love who they love. May these words, together with the flame of this chalice and the spirit of this fellowship, enlighten the way for society to accept all others, irrespective of sexual preference, persuasion, identity, or orientation. And we will now join together, please stand if able and willing, in the singing of hymn 1053, How Could Anyone? Please remain standing because we'll now read the unison affirmation together, following which we'll sing the doxology. The unison affirmation is printed in your order of service. We gather together to seek knowledge and wisdom, to explore freely the vast reaches of mind and spirit, to celebrate within a caring community those truths, ancient and modern, which give meaning and direction to our lives. Please be seated. My first reading is from words by Glennon Doyle, an American author and queer activist and the founder and president of Together Rising, an all-woman-led nonprofit supporting women, families, and children in crisis. Maybe we can stop trying so hard to understand the gorgeous mystery of sexuality. Instead, we can just listen to ourselves and each other with curiosity and love and without fear. We can just let people be who they are, and we can believe that the freer each person is, the better we all are. Joy lifts the heart and the spirit. Concern weighs down the heart and the spirit. Sharing a joy within a community of friends raises it to greater heights. Sharing a concern within a community provides balm and lightens its weighty burden. If you have a joy or a concern that you'd like to share, we hope you'll share it with us. Please note that we do broadcast this on the internet, so if you're going to mention anybody in particular, I hope you'll have gotten their permission to do so. Please raise your hand and share with us joys and concerns, and the microphone will find you.
Hi, Tom Schroeder. They say the happiest day of a sailor's life is the day they buy the boat, the day they sell the boat. Well, this week, I still have the boat, but I sold the business, so that ends 28 years of me being dedicated to the dock.
Did you have it on sale?
I'm Ken Boyd. We're going to be celebrating our 44th wedding anniversary. 54, I'm sorry. It's a journey. It's a week from Tuesday. We're not going to be here next week. And I wanted to make note of this. 54? Huh? 64. Yeah, 64. I still haven't got it in my head. 64. I can't believe it. Carol's mother, when we got married, thought I was a temporary problem for the family.
Ken, it may not quite be the celebration you had in mind.
Hello, it's Austin. So the summer season is coming to a close pretty soon. I'll be headed back to Pennsylvania. So I'd like to share one last joy with each of you. That joy has been all of you. If it weren't for this congregation, this fellowship, I wouldn't have been able to find extra work when work was slow. I wouldn't have found out about some fascinating music that I would never have known of before. And I wouldn't have had as many kind listening ears when I needed them. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you all.
I have a quick joy. In addition to all the things I mentioned previously, I think it was Thursday or Friday night, doesn't really matter. But we had gotten back from something. I turned on the television, not that that's my habit, but I did in this particular case. And there on public television 2, 3 channels on public television, there was a performance of Beethoven's Ninth by an orchestra called the Ukraine Freedom Orchestra. And that orchestra was founded by the Milwaukee-born Carrie Lynn Wilson, who is now a Canadian conductor, who is a giant, literally and figuratively. She stands 6'1", but she's an incredible, incredible conductor. And the story of the Ukraine Freedom Orchestra is basically they are all professional musicians who have been forced to leave Ukraine, and she put together this orchestra. And if you get a chance to see it on Passport, or if you get a chance to see it on YouTube, I encourage you. The offertory. Now, how's this going to work? Are we going to fight over each other? Because I got to make some remarks. I'll make them first. Okay. Our love, out of concern for our fellowship, and because we take seriously the call for, out of love, out of concern for our fellowship, and because we take seriously the call to fund its work and its witness, we give. We are grateful for these gifts and grateful to each other for giving them. You may also make contributions online. Simply go to the website at uufdc.org, donate now. And if this is your first time visiting with us, let your visiting with us today be your gift to us.
When the Benedict bells ring, do they make you think of you and me inside the sacristy, with the wafers and the wine, my blood pumping like the organ, holding Bibles in our hands, you the Canaan land, forbidden and fine. When I hear the bells of St. Jude, they make me think of you, and all the pretty birds that flew from your mouth into mine. My swallows almost set to singing, sparrows almost took to wing, but if they knew anything that there would be, offertory plates. So I was thinking, this would be it has to. I was just thinking, this would be a dangerous song to sing. I thought it would be fun to sing about stealing the offering. But these are green velvet plates, so whatever. In the hollers and the badlands, in the missionary van, you dressed up in your sunburn, I hid under mine. And in the evenings at the altar, Father taught us how to pray for all the soul sick and the sinners. He grinned at me and said, that's you and I. He said the red velvet played with the quarters. Let's take 'em. We'll build ourselves a house on the hill. We can draw the holy water from our own well. When God spoke to Samuel, do you think it sounded like the Benedict bell? Everyone ringing out cracked and proud and clear. Back then I thought that we were serpents. I thought we brought the flood. Thought we turned water into blood. I thought we drank a wicked wine. But really you were an apple. Me, I was a dove, eating manna from above. I guess you knew that all the time. You know the red velvet played with the quarters. I took 'em. I built myself a house on the hill. Now I'm drawing holy water. So won't you come where the bells are ringing? You'll find me here in my house on the hill. We can draw the holy water from our own well. Water from our own well. Water from our own well.
Thank you. Thank you. Just a quick test here. Ken, how many years have you been married? The second reading is from Johanna Sigurdardóttir, who was an Icelandic prime minister. And she read, "It is absolutely imperative that every human being's freedom and human rights are respected all over the world." Yeah, okay, so what's significant about her? Well, Johanna Sigurdardóttir, a former Icelandic prime minister, as I said, was the first openly gay head of state in the world. She was the prime minister in the early teens, 2000 teens, and in that speech, she uttered those words, and she was thankful that her native country of Iceland was making strides toward acceptance and equal rights for all LGBTQ people. However, she went on to emphasize that until these rights are status quo all over the world, which they are not, clearly, none of us can really consider ourselves truly free. This marked one of the first calls from a head of state to make LGBTQ rights the standard worldwide. And now, for just a few moments, imbibe in the drink, imbibe in the think of silent contemplation. I know a number of you were in the audience last night for Mahler's Second Symphony, The Resurrection. And in the transition from the first to the second movement, there's a 5-minute pause. And I think I watched around. A lot of people weren't aware of that and were visibly uncomfortable because Rune just stood there with his back to the audience for, I think he actually did it for less than 5 minutes, but it actually calls for 5 minutes. I think it's actually, he did for 2 minutes, but I think it actually calls for 5. So I wasn't going to keep you that long, okay? It's my pleasure now to turn it over to Martha Marvel, and eager to hear your words. And so welcome to our fellowship.
Thank you. Good morning. It is such a blessing for me to be able to be here with such an amazing community of life, care, and compassion. It isn't easy, and it's one heck of a time to be a transgender person. Last spring, I was asked to give a talk to the UU community in Green Bay. And as I was preparing the talk, I thought it would be interesting to go on the internet, look at artificial intelligence, which if you don't know what that is, it's using a computer program to search the entire internet and give you a summary of what the wisdom of the world and of some faiths is. And the question I asked, and I'm going to read what came back, was I said, if Jesus were to encounter a trans person today, what would Jesus say? And given everything that's been going on, much of the I won't use other adjectives, I was a little nervous as to what might come back. This is what came back. The most faithful summary of Jesus' likely words and actions would be, number 1, you are loved. Number 2, you are welcome. Number 3, you are made in God's image. And number 4, come, follow me. Not exactly what we're hearing from some denominations and people who profess their Christianity. I'm going to try in the 15, 20 minutes that I have to tell you my entire faith life story and also share with you some facts and some reality based on science, evidence-based proof, not political ideology that has so warped the reality of the transgender experience. My faith life, I grew up in an amazing faith family. Catholic, super Catholic. My father, long before lay people could be involved in the Catholic Church, ran the local Catholic Church. My mother was in the choir. I was a model Catholic Christian. I was, an acolyte. I sang in the boys' choir. I was involved in the youth group. I didn't have any trauma in my life. I had a normal household, and yet we hear that, obviously there was something wrong with my household, which would have made me what I am today. There was none. It was an amazing life. And yet, in about the 5th grade, I knew I was different. I didn't have words for it. At the time, there were no role models. There were no resources. I thought I had some weird sexual perversion, and that with enough prayer, hopefully God would take it away. And even into my young adulthood, I searched for the cure. it never came. And yet, I had it and I couldn't share it. I even went to the local public library, figuring, okay, you remember the card catalogs? Some of you do. Yes, I am that old. There was nothing in the card catalogs. And it took me months to work up the courage to even go near the card catalog, because I was sure the librarian would know what I was looking for. But that's the kind of fear that led me to have to lead a real double life. One that kept in the closet, and then the perfect person in public. I even went so far as to feel a call to priesthood. And I remember talking with my God, how can you call someone as sick as I am to priesthood? And yet I remember vividly, in the middle of the night, God talking to me, saying I should be a Jesuit priest and missionary to China. I don't know why China, but that was the... But I always had that longing, that call deep in the core of who I was, both to grapple with these feminine urges, needs, realities, as well as to serve my God. My prayer was constantly, God, why did you make me the way I am? And my God would always smile and say, trust, I know what I'm doing. Go on. As I grew in high school, I went to a good Catholic high school. I was head of the student council. I had the lead in the class play as my senior year. It was The Sound of Music. And believe it or not, even though I wanted to be Maria, I was the captain. If the nuns could see me now. My faith in college, I always felt that call to serve, to use my gifts and talents to help my neighbor. I was very active in campus ministry. I got a master's degree in social work so that I could serve others. I also got a master's degree in religious studies because I wanted to work with the church. And I was still kind of dealing with that priesthood thing, only it was pretty obvious that one of my gifts was never going to be celibacy. And so I would have to figure out a different way to serve my God. I even went at one point on an 8-day silent retreat because my periodic prayer obviously wasn't working. God kept smiling and saying, don't worry about it. Keep serving, keep living your life of faith. We live in a world right now where 1% of the population is transgender. You may not think you know trans people, but I assure you, you do. But they're in the closet because they're afraid to be their authentic selves in public. And I lived in the closet pretty much until I retired 8 years ago. I actually, as my life unfolded, initially when I got out of college, I started working for the Catholic Church. I thought it would be a Peace Corps job. I'd work for 2 to 3 years and then get a real job. Once again, God had a different plan. I worked for the Catholic Church for 42 years, living in the closet, trying to balance two worlds. When I got married, I thought, oh, this is going to take care of some of this weird stuff going on. It didn't. We were married for 14 years, and my wife couldn't understand why I had periods of depression, moodiness. And I finally had to tell her who I was in addition to who she knew. Thank God, next month, and I do have the year right, My wife and I will celebrate our 50th
Wow.
wedding anniversary. Thank you. We have 4 kids who have only known about Martha for about 4 years, and 11 grandkids. Some of the grandkids are teenagers. One of them, there's so many stories and things that I could share, but when she was told that Grandpa has another dimension to her life, her response was, "What? You mean all my life I have a grandfather who's a queen and I didn't know it?" Not quite. They have all met Martha, and for the most part are comfortable, but what a journey it has been. You need to know that so much of what's coming out of our government right now is pseudoscience, misinformation. It's based on an ideology, a political ideology. When we look at science and evidence-based, it's clear we have been here as trans people throughout recorded history. More specifically, here in this country, if we look at our Native American indigenous people, they have within many of their tribes the concept of a two-spirit, which prior to colonization and the missionaries was a respected, honored role. Oftentimes they were the wisdom figures, the shamans. You know, if we look at Mexican culture, Indian culture, throughout the world, you will find two-spirit trans people with differing levels of agreement. Our government is trying to erase us. It's mind-boggling the lengths that they're going to in terms of wiping clean websites. You may know about the Stonewall, which is the precursor for the pride celebrations that we have throughout the country. At the core of that were trans women who purportedly threw the first brick. Our government has wiped the website of any mention of those people. Now, they can continue to try to erase us. But I want to assure you, you will not put the toothpaste back in the tube. We will not be erased. It would be as if, and I would recommend some of our officials, they might as well try to erase left-handedness. How many here are left-handed? Okay. Now, we don't have time for it now, maybe later, but when did you choose to be left-handed? No? Can you use your right hand? Well, yeah. But it just doesn't work the same, right? It's a natural part of who you are. It's the same thing for us as trans people. I spent 50, 60 years of my life trying to fit into a world that didn't understand me. It doesn't work. It isn't going to work. It's going to make life miserable for some trans people, their households, their families, but we're not going away. We're going to continue to be here, all 1% of us in the population. Now, that may not sound like a lot of people, 1%, but in the United States, that's 2.8 million people. Most are unfortunately still living in closets because the world in which we live in is not quite open. But it is opening up, and it is moving forward. It saddens me when there are attacks on what are called gender-affirming care. Gender-affirming care, first of all, is not medical mutilations of children. that is by far the last. Gender affirming care is a responsible system of care where you take doctors, mental health professionals, parents, and children, and together they create a plan of care and support. Prior to the age of 18, it tends to be social support and how you present yourself. Beyond that may look at hormones. And hormones, oh my gosh, those are such scary things. We've been using hormones for what's called precocious, onset of menstruation, etc., for 50 years without problems. And in the rare circumstance where those are helpful, they do not lead to infertility and all the other kinds of things. Gender affirming care is first of all a social care, second legal, changing of documents, and then finally medical. Many years ago, when I was working for the Catholic Church, I knew that if they ever found out about Martha, I would be fired immediately. And so I lived in a double world. But then, when I retired, not quite 8 years ago, one of the first things I did was I reached out to other transgender people. And there were 4 of us that gathered in the back room, actually a storeroom of the Napoli's Lounge in Green Bay. We had to clean it out, but it was a safe place where we could have a drink and we could laugh and we could swap war stories. I'm overjoyed to tell you that last week, we just crossed the line of 750 people who are trans, parents of trans, allies, and friends. I invite all of you to join us. I brought some brochures if you're so inclined and interested. Every month, on the first Thursday of every month, we gather at the Napoli's in the community room. And every month, there are 2 to 3 people who have never been out of the house before as their authentic selves. And they come in scared to death and shaking, and we need to get them a Manhattan quickly. And after the Manhattan and the presence of our community, universally they say, why didn't I do this sooner? We desperately need, and I invite all of you to be allies, to be careful, with the coffee room jokes. That when someone makes a bold statement about trans people, you can say, I've heard another perspective. Do some homework. It doesn't take very much if you know how to use Google. Ask some questions and you'll be amazed at the positive information that comes up. I mentioned the pseudoscience, especially for parents of trans kids. There is a thing called the American Academy of Pediatricians. It sounds very respectable, correct? It was founded, like 15, 20 years ago to oppose gay marriage. It's a very conservative group that has like 1,200 physicians, pediatricians as part of it. They are the only group that is invited to many hearings on bills and legislation. Now, if you compare that with the American Medical Association, with its 156,000 members who affirm gender-affirming care and compassionate service or support. If you're a parent of a trans kid, who do you want to listen to? There are 30 mental health medical associations in the United States that affirm gender, trans, diverse people. Only one, And right now, that's the only one that's being heard. So be careful with what you read. I could go on and on and on, and perhaps later we can go into some more odds and ends. But this is me. This is how God created me. I asked God for many, many years why. And God smiled and just said, trust me. In the past 7 years, I'm beginning to get a glimpse maybe of why. That this isn't a burden. This is an amazing gift that I have and I'm called to share. And I thank all of you for the opportunity to share some of it with you this morning. Thank you.
Please rise, if able, and join in the singing of hymn 325, Love Makes a Bridge. And I think we're going to run through the music one time first. It may not be quite as familiar to you. And so, Beth, take it away. Please be seated. Joe, could I impose on you again? He prayeth best who loveth best all people, straight or gay. For the dear God who loveth us, he loveth us and accepteth us, each in his or her own way.
Turns out I married a man. That isn't what I meant to do. I see women when I'm dreaming, women when I'm waking too. And if I had to start again, I'm not sure he's what I'd choose. But we don't get to start again, and I wouldn't want to. What they say about girls like me is that we can't commit, that we'll bark up any old tree just for the hell of it. Well, I'm not looking to bark, but yes, I miss a woman's touch. No lover is everything, even one who is enough. He is a river, he is cool and deep, but there are birds on the banks of the Mississippi. Pretty sure I'll never wear a dress again. Pretty sure I never wanted to. There were so many years I was pushing up against the dam, calling out to everybody, can't you see who I really am? He is a river, he is cool and deep, but there are birds on banks of the Mississippi. The other day my old pal Kate said, lately you are very gay. Made me happy when she said that, 'cause inside